Yeah, it's not just catcher. There are quite a few positions of need for the Rangers today as we welcome you into the DLLS Rangers podcast. I'm here in Vegas where the GM meetings are happening, Jeff, in the great state of Texas. And Jeff, I think for anybody to be able to relate to what Chris Young and Ross Fenstermaker are going through right now, it's like the parent who gets a list or lists a Christmas wish list from your kids. And you look at the list and then you look at the budget and you go, man, something's got to give here, right? And because the kids, my son once put on there, he'd like a helicopter, so he meant a real one. And so, that's the Rangers aren't looking for a helicopter, Jeff. But of course, they'd love to go out and get the best catcher and the best this and the best that. But the budget says otherwise.
No ponies under the tree this year for the Rangers.
Right.
And I think that reality's kind of set in, and we've talked about the elements that might be at the root cause of this. With this CBT, the CBT, the Rangers crossed that for a third straight year and have penalties to pay. The TV deal that was not as fruitful as they were hoping, and then attendance was down about 3,000 fans a game, and that's not insignificant either. So no. I think that when we talk about the budget, it's not just the payroll of the baseball team. I think that they're making cuts around the whole franchise. Trying to do things more efficiently, at less cost, maybe in scouting, internationally, things like that, and even in hiring and not retaining certain coaches, that might have something to do with it. So, with that as the backdrop, the Rangers aren't going to be signing Kyle Schwarber. Right?
No.
Tucker or
Pete Alonso.
They're not signing those guys.
No.
They might be fits and they might be awesome to put on the team and all of that, but the Rangers are going to have to find guys who can do what they want them to do, and I think you'll see some of these signings that they potentially get be reflected in what they hope is a new hitting philosophy, more contact, as Chris Young said, more contact, better strike zone control, finding multiple ways to get on base. Skip Schumacher, that's kind of his bread and butter. So I think that as the budget is trimmed, the Rangers are going to try to find players that maybe fit the philosophy who maybe don't cost a ton of money. And I think a good example is the Blue Jays this year.
Right.
All right. Obviously, they have a marquee player. Vlad Jr. is fantastic, and he's paid accordingly now, after he signed his extension. Bo Bichette, nice player. He's headed to free agency. We'll see what he gets. But like you were talking about just a couple of weeks ago, who the hell is Ernie Clement?
Right. Right.
Who's Nathan Lucas? Well,
right.
This is who they are. They're tough outs, is what they are. Yeah. They grind. They foul off pitches. They're not afraid to take a walk. They put the ball in play.
Yeah.
And really, when you look at the Blue Jays lineup, and you can look at the Brewers also in a similar vein, and even the Guardians. These are teams that they might have one superstar player, but what they have is a bunch of guys who just aren't thinking home run. They're thinking hard contact, grinding at bats, getting on base any way they can. And I think it looks like a winning philosophy.
Right. And the fact is, right now, the Rangers really only have one superstar. That's Corey Seager. I mean, forget the pitching. There's some superstars over there. But when you're talking about the lineup, you've got Corey Seager. And, when they first signed him, I don't know that Marcus was ever on that superstar level, but he was at least their Bo Bichette. Now, it feels like he's fading with the just the onset of age, and maybe not. Maybe he's going to resurrect himself through the same hard work that he's done to get where he is. But here it is. You've got Corey Seager, and then what they've got to do, to your point, Jeff, is get the right people around. And in Adolis Garcia in 2023, it seemed like they had found that. In Jonah Heim in 2023, It seemed like they had found that. Certainly in Josh Young, it seemed like they had found that. Josh Smith has proven that maybe he can be that guy. Evan Carter has, but it has to happen at the same time through a season, not just for short spurts, as we've seen from really any or all of those names just mentioned.
Yeah, and you talked about Josh Young, and we can throw in Jake Berger there. Chase and strikeouts and not taking walks, and when they hit the ball, great. But the question is, when are they hitting the ball?
Right.
And so I think that if the philosophies are torn down, and these guys are told, don't worry about the power is going to happen, instead of, hey, drive the ball, let's get the ball in the gaps, let's try to hit it over the fence. That could be a change right there. I mean, you don't have to, everybody likes exit velocity to the point that it's on, the scoreboard.
Yes.
Every batted ball, but how many times this postseason did you see a 78 mile per hour lawn dart that fell in shallow right field get the job done? It's about putting the ball in play, putting pressure on defenses, and sustaining rallies. Put together like 3 or 4 hits in an inning and see what happens. Holy cow! Maybe throwing a walk, and just see what happens. And that's what the Blue Jays did so well. Again, the Brewers.
Yep.
It made an art form out of it.
Yep.
That team has no payroll, right? And yet here they were winning the most games in baseball. So I think, hopefully if you see a lot of the same people back in the lineup from last year, hopefully you see them with a different approach. And I don't think it might be like quitting smoking, where it doesn't happen overnight. You might need a little patch to help you through. But I think that, and if these are the players that have been high contact guys, let's say in the minors or in college, can they find that again? Can they shake these wild swings and lack of patience at the plate with the understanding that their coach now, their hitting coach and their organization now wants them to just put the ball in play? As simple as that.
Yeah. And what you hope, as we started this whole discussion with budget talk, Jeff, what you hope is where they're saving in other areas. And I know, and I don't know if you've talked to our buddy Colby Lewis, but I know he has been, not retained as a special assistant to the general manager. I heard that from somebody. So the reality there is that's not a ton of money, right? Those special assistants, they're not doing it really for the money. They made so much money in their career. They just want to stay in the game. And of course, they're get paid, but not a lot, right? Not millions of dollars or anything like it. So if they're saving to that level, and we know that's happening elsewhere in the organization, I hope that money, if it's going to be redistributed, will be redistributed to a point where at least we can, not necessarily, bump right up against the CBT, but perhaps, be in the neighborhood of it, not where you're a threat to go over, but be in the neighborhood. And then that way you're getting the most you can possibly get on the field. In other words, I don't want them to have the Brewers budget, right? I want them to be closer to, a Blue Jays type budget. That sort of thing. The Blue Jays, I don't think were quite over $200 million, but maybe they were after Vlad. I want them to be north of $200 million, but obviously south of 243, which will be the new CBT, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think it's 240. Is it 243 or 247? Whatever it is. It's
whichever. Yeah, I just want them. Okay, then
Sure, you want them close to it, and DFW is the fourth biggest media market in the country, right? Behind New York, LA, and Chicago. Then it's DFW. This is a major, major market. There's no need for them to be glued to a payroll. They shouldn't have to cut corners. Yet they're finding that they have to. And I do think, if we were to sit down and put some truth serum into Ray Davis's coffee, that he would say that the TV deal is his biggest concern. I think that that the revenue that didn't come in from there, how much longer does he want to prop this thing up? Does he want to
bring FanDuel back? Yeah.
Or bring MLB into the mix? Does he want that? So I don't know. What's his level of patience with that portion of the business? And but again, you got to have a TV. The Rangers were sitting on so much money before Bally went up in smoke, and even now, what kind of deal would they get? I would suspect it would be a big deal from the FanDuel side of things, because they're probably paying smaller market teams, and not having to pay a lot. But if you want to compare, let's say, Kansas City to DFW,
no comparison. Yeah,
I mean, it would seem like it's probably has 5 times the market value.
Right.
And so I don't know what that deal would look like. And I'm not saying they're trying to exit Ranger Sports Network, but it wasn't as fruitful as they thought it was going to be. So
it probably hasn't been, but I think actually, if we gave him the truth serum, I really think the reason he is being so frugal and cost conscious this year is more so than even than the TV deal, and I think that factors in. But I think it's because of the uncertainty of any revenue at some point next year, right? I think he and the other owners are convinced there will be a work stoppage, and I believe that he is this, frugal and cost conscious because he's worried that there, God forbid, but could even be a season without revenue, depending on how hard each side wants to dig their heels into this. I have to think, but again, this is me being logical, and I'm not very business oriented. I have to think there is enough money out there to be made by Ranger Sports Network. And if you're patient, you're going to make it. Bally wasn't like a shell game, right? I know for a fact Fox and Bally were making huge money prior to all of the cord cutting. That huge money probably isn't available at the moment because there's still such uncertainty in television, but there's bigger money. I mean, I think Bally or FanDuel now, I think they'd pay the Rangers $75 million, maybe $85 million in rights fees. And that's probably a lot more than the RSN made this year. But I really believe it's capable of making that. You just have to run it correctly.
Well, and that's,
that's a biggie.
Do they have the right people in place? And you know a lot of them, John. I'm sure you speak highly of them and think that they do. And it does take time. And I'm sure that businesses wanted to see what the product looked like and what the ratings would look like after years of the Metroplex basically being unable to see games. So maybe 2026 is more fruitful because there's actually some numbers now to back things up.
Sure, absolutely. Because you have to have proof to show to the advertisers, hey, we've got this thing and it works, right? It worked last year. Look at the ratings we got, that sort of thing. And we weren't that great a team, right? Success certainly helps in that realm, right? If you have a successful team, a playoff team, a team that wins all the time, you get a lot more eyeballs on it, both, to your point, in the seats and on the TV. So it's all crazy. It's all part of the budget. It's very interesting. We feel like there's sort of a philosophy switch ongoing, both financially and on the field. And so it'll be interesting to see how and why all of those things are taking place. Eventually, we'll all get answers to that. More coming up. Jeff wrote a good article today, and it's why we showed the catchers earlier, just about what is out there free agent-wise for the Rangers. And it's kind of that wish list that, trying to work within a budget, but get the best that you can get. So we'll talk about that. And we don't do this in a vacuum. We know that Nico Harrison was fired today. We'll talk later about
what?
How about that, Jeff?
I hadn't heard it.
We'll talk later about how fortunate Rangers fans and media have been with the GMs that have been there. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And it's game time, basketball. And guess what? The Mavericks are a-changin'. We told you yesterday that they had hired Gina Miller to be the new communications coordinator. Welcome aboard, Gina. Now make this
soft landing
work.
for Gina.
Paint a good picture. Put a smile on this pig. So anyway, man, tough job for Gina. Friend of ours, and we're really rooting for you, Gina, and proud of you. And with no Nico Harrison there and a team that's not really constructed that well at the moment, we're hearing that there will be a lot of other changes. There will be some cheap Mavericks tickets available on Game Time this year. Go to Game Time. Use the app. It's so fantastic. It shows you the seat. There's price guarantees. There's a price match guarantee. If you find it for cheaper on another secondary ticket app, they'll give you 110% back. You can't beat Game Time. It's the best ticket app out there. Game Time is an app. Go to the app, and you get $20 off your first purchase on there if you use the code DLLS.
And then PNC Bank, they had the Main Street branch pop up last week at the AAC for some Stars games, and we had our Stars crew out there, including the world famous Luds, who everybody loved, probably because his hair, and that's kind of what Main Street means here, Maine, M-A-N-E, because a sweet mullet takes time, just like it takes time to ensure your long-term growth. And PNC Bank wants you to have a mullet, and also, probably more importantly, let them help you get to the financial place you want to be. So whether it's a legendary flow or a strong financial plan, come to those who are patient and committed to the long run. And remember, this is a long life. You got a lot of things to plan for, and you need somebody who's going to help you. And PNC Bank, they're going to help.
All right, before we get into Jeff's story, I saw something in the chat there just before we hit the break where Jared Sandler, our buddy, has said that he feels like the Rangers are just over the CBT last year. And I've seen conflicting reports today even. I saw one thing that said they were unbelievably as little as 500,000 over, which is just the worst way to be. But then I also saw something, I think it was Rosenthal, who said they're pretty sure that they were under. Either way, they're not going to hit the CBT in 2026. That is a mandate, I believe, from ownership and from Ray Davis. But either way, they're very conscious of it. And that would suck, though. If they're over, Jeff, that would be 3 years in a row. And, there's the penalty. It's a 50% penalty. So, if they had gone way over, that'd be big. But 50%, so that's peanuts in a baseball organization that they would have to pay, 50% over that 500,000, take it up to 750,000. But the reality is, if once you're over for the third time, the penalty would be higher next year if they went over it again. So you have to reset. This is like a reset financially, and then that makes the process of what Chris Young and Ross Fenstermaker are doing here in Las Vegas, it makes the process much more difficult because they have got to find the players that they feel like they need, and they've got to find them, basically on the cheap, as cheaply as they can. So to us and from people we've talked to in the organization, I think that everybody kind of agrees, Jeff, that catcher is like the position. They have not felt great about it since 2023. 2 years in a row, they just haven't felt like, they've had enough there, offensively in particular. And so you look at the free agent, and again, this all presumes that they will either non-tender or trade Jonah Heim. You'll still have Kyle Higashioka, but he's not a full-time guy. So who's your other one? On that, I did reveal this to Bassick the other day, Jeff, on our supporters club thing. My dream for the whole offseason, my dream player would be JT Realmuto. I feel like
Right.
he would be there and he would be he'd be good long enough to get a catcher developed because they have nobody yet who's available. But 16, 17, maybe more a year.
Right. And yeah, gosh, you're paying four guys at least $25 million. So you're like, oh, well, shoot, that sounds like a bargain.
Right.
But again, and maybe it would be at another time, or if you didn't have Jock Peterson. But it just seems like that's shooting too high for the situation. And then, so I put down as my free agent alternative in this story. And a lot of people have gone to this because he's the next best guy, Victor Caratini. But what is a Victor Caratini deal going to look like? You're talking about, probably another significant, multi-year commitment. You got Higashioka. He's, had a great walk year, landed $13 million over 2 years. Would Caratini cost that much? I don't know. He's a switch hitter, although his splits were pretty drastic this year. He didn't hit lefties, which isn't bad because Higashioka is a right-handed hitter. But, is he the guy you want to carry the load? Or is there somebody on the trade market who could potentially, help you out significantly? And so that's why I put down Ryan Jeffers from the Twins. He's, I believe, going into his final year of salary arbitration. He had 464 plate appearances last year. All right, so I'm guessing that some of those came at a designated hitter, maybe other positions. Though he did catch, he started 80 games at catcher. Maybe he can bump that up by, let's say, 10 or 15. Get to the 95 range, having 95, 65, or 96, 62 for all of you anal math people out there. The point being, he's kind of done it before. His last year of arbitration won't cost a ton. And yeah, he had a better season than Jonah Heim. He would be an offensive upgrade. And so that's kind of what I am looking for. At the trade deadline, what did the Rangers do? They got Merrill Kelly, they got Phil Maton, they got Danny Coulomb. And who did Danny Coulomb play for? The Twins. And the Rangers were in the market for a catcher at that time. Did they already have discussions about Jeffers? Could this be one of those situations where this week at the GM meetings, they're picking up a conversation instead of starting from scratch? So the Twins are familiar with the Rangers system. I'm guessing the Rangers have done their homework on Jeffers. And again, this is spitball central. The Pirates have Joey Bart, who didn't have a great offensive year last year. I don't know if he's an everyday catcher, but you kind of look at the teams that have the catching surpluses, and the Pirates are one of them. It's just if an $8 million commitment to Caratini is going to put a dent in the plans, then maybe you got to look at a trade and pick, get a player like Jeffers, who's arbitration eligible and is only going to cost you, maybe what Heim would cost you, $5 million, but you'd be getting more value for that money.
Yeah, I mean, somebody just said in the chat, Heim at $4.5 million isn't that bad. I think he is, just in that he projects, this really negative. I mean, I just think he gets so down on himself. I don't think he's trying to bring down the room. But I think when he's so down on himself because of offensive struggles, Jeff, man, he has a negative effect, whether he wants to or not, on the whole team.
Yeah, and it's and he had talked about it at the end of 24, and when we were in Anaheim for the last series, he was talking about, I was 23 was a dream year. I won the Gold Glove. I was the starter of the All-Star game. We went to the World Series, and then I came out and was terrible and was in a slump, and I couldn't get out of it, and it became a mental thing. And he talked about he had gotten into a right place, and maybe it was better at the end of the season in 24, but and the Rangers went out of their way last offseason to help the guy out. They signed Higashioka. They're like, well, maybe we overworked Jonah, and maybe if he gets a little more rest, maybe that he'll be this better player. It didn't work out that way. So I do think that if you look at the career ledger of Jonah, it's short, granted, because he's a young player who's still arbitration eligible, but 21 wasn't great. Okay, he's a rookie trying to learn the new team. Catchers have a lot more to do. 22, maybe a little better. 23, terrific, but then 24 and 25 back on the downward side.
Yeah,
the outlier is 23, not these last 2 years. So
right,
it maybe the Rangers have come to that decision.
Yeah, and that's a tough decision to come to. You really, obviously, you wanted him. It's so hard to find a catcher, and they certainly thought they had that in 23. And then, so the other position that we know is going to be focused upon, or we feel like it will be, is right field, Jeff, because we feel like Botheim and Adolis Garcia will go down a road of either being non-tendered or traded, and so they'll be looking for a free agent to replace that. And so I'd like Kyle Tucker, Jeff, if that's okay. Sure. Could we let's just Kyle Tucker? Is that cool?
That's cool. Let's bring him in. Let's do it. So since that's not going to happen, do you look internally? Is Alejandro Osuna an everyday player? Doesn't hit for enough power.
Yeah.
But nice defensive player. Is he going to struggle against lefties? Plays with energy. Teammates like that, respect that about him. The organization likes that. Plays the game the right way. All of that. Okay. What's it look like over 162 games? Don't know. So then do you go to the free agency market? Who besides Tucker are the best free agents? Well, I mean, I don't trust Trent Grisham, but he's going to get big money.
Yeah. Yep.
Cody Bellinger, but they're both listed as like center fielders, but they're going to be out of the price range.
Right.
Can you take a guy and make him a right fielder? Mike Yastrzemski can play right field. He's a left-handed bat though, and he's a really kind of a strict platoon guy. So you're still going to have him sharing time. So it's interesting, and that's why in this story I brought up, all right, sign Luis Arraez.
Right.
Luis Arraez has played left field in his career. I don't think it's really pretty, but if he's the guy who's you want to model your offense after, your offensive players after, then let people see it. Skip Schumacher loves him.
Yep.
And I think that's why he's been linked to the Rangers in a lot of discussion. He said he wants to go back to the Padres. Is that a reciprocal feeling? Maybe not. No, Arraez, I think, hit 4 home runs last year. It was 4 or 6. It wasn't enough. So you're really taking the position and really a lineup. You're just taking power out of the equation there. But is he going to do enough good otherwise to get you where you want to be? And maybe he is. I don't know. And then if you're able to unload the Semien contract, well, you got a second baseman now. And maybe he profiles better offensively at second base than he would left field.
Sure.
Now, of course, if you have him at left, then that means Wyatt Langford has to move to right. And I don't know if the Rangers want to flirt with that or not. But just some spitballing.
Yeah, and that might come down to the better arm and who profiles better as that guy from right field. But yeah, that'd be that'd be decisions for much later. Let's get the people in place first. More coming up as we continue to talk through free agency. We will also take a look at Jeff's ballot because he was a part of the award that was doled out last night. It was Rookie of the Year. Jeff was a voter. We'll talk about that with him and you next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But we'll ask you to join the Supporters Club first because that is where you would have initially gotten my thought about JT Realmuto. I mentioned it in our little deal that we did on that last week. Jeff's got some really good thoughts about wish list guys there, and I don't think we've mentioned them yet. So you've got to become a Supporters Club member in order to go get that and figure out exactly who Jeff would like to see the Rangers sign. Incidentally, when I brought up Realmuto to Bassick, he thought it was great and realistic, but, we'll see. He is a little closer to the organization than we are. But all that stuff's available on the Supporters Club, as are those emojis, and it's just fun. You just go out there and see what we've got. I'm sure that the Mavs, when they do their next Supporters Club hit, are going to have some real fun inside talk about what happened in the later days and the last part of the process of the Nico era. So, they all our teams do them. Cowboys too. Obviously the Stars as well. So be a supporter of DLLS by joining the Supporters Club today.
I for one, am looking forward to seeing Ali's newsletter tomorrow. And it's so easy to get this newsletter, guys. I'm telling you. You go to our homepage, alldls.com, go to the very bottom, go just straight to the bottom. And there's a little banner ad that says, hey, sign up for our newsletter. And then a little space for your email address. And then you hit the submit button. That's all we want. Okay. We don't need a family tree. We don't need your 23andMe. We don't need, social security numbers or fingerprints. We just want your email address because we want to keep you in the loop to make sure that you don't miss any of our stories or anything else fun, like the Derrick Henry thing, and yesterday's that they're going around, and I'm sure that the Nico Harrison thing, if he has indeed been fired, is that confirmed, John? Is that confirmed?
It is. He has been fired. Yeah.
If that's gonna be worth of its own newsletter, let alone all the other teams that we cover. So. Again, sign up for our newsletter at the bottom of our homepage at alldls.com.
Yeah, and to that point, I got a DLLS sports notification about Nico.
Oh.
So I don't know if that was technically a newsletter, because there was a newsletter also this morning at like 6:45. Mavs lose, pressure mounts on Nico, right? But then they sent another one out. I assume Ali did that one as well. So this it'll keep you informed for sure. I mean, you get it in your inbox as quick as things happen. So we're big fans of that and big fans of Ali. Okay, so see, look at there. Kat just told me we did an emergency newsletter. There you go. See? Yeah. So here we go with the Rookie of the Year. Voting. Jeff was a voting member, which is why he was tight-lipped anytime we brought that balloting up. He's not allowed to talk about what he did. I love that he gave us a few hints, and he wasn't the only one who voted for Jack Leiter. There were others. He got 3 votes, I think, a third, a fourth, and a fifth. But Jeff knew for a fact that Jack Leiter was going to get at least 1 vote, and he
was going to get a vote.
Yeah, it was nice to know that. I was a little surprised. He got 6 points, Jack. I thought he'd finish a little higher, and I assume all 3 of those votes were probably, our Rangers beat writers.
Yeah, Levi gave him a vote, and then I didn't see the other one, but you just look at the body of work, and it was worthy of consideration. I mean, it was if he wasn't the best American League rookie starting pitcher, he was second best, and a lot of people had Noah Cameron above him, and that's fine. The lefty from the Royals, but it was Nick Kurtz won it unanimously.
Yeah.
And so the rest of the ballot doesn't really matter, and I think as I recall, I did Kurtz, Jacob Wilson, Roman Anthony. I believe I did Noah Cameron fourth, and then Jack Leiter. The Red Sox catcher finished above Jack, and so did Montgomery from the White Sox, which I didn't particularly care for that one.
No, I didn't
thought
like
it
that
was
either.
a little short-sighted, but whatever. Last year at this time we were up in arms about where Wyatt finished, and not quite the angst on this one. Nevertheless, two BBWA members from every team vote on these awards. So there's 30 votes for all the awards. Rookie of the Year, Manager, Cy Young, Pitcher, and then MVP, and then coming soon. I don't think it's this year, but we're going to have a Closer of the Year award.
Oh, good.
Coming up, maybe next year it starts, but it's league-wide polling, and because we see all the teams, some see teams more than others, like our case with the A's, but just Kurtz's numbers just stood out so much better, even though he didn't play in the majors the first month. Really incredible performance for him. But so and I kind of hinted, I think that
he'd be unanimous.
Kurtz was going to be a very popular vote.
Yeah, you knew that too. And he's the 21st ever unanimous selection. He's the 9th ever Oakland A's player to be named, or whatever A's, to be named the Rookie of the Year. I saw the list, Jeff. So the Dodgers, but again, it goes all the way back to the Brooklyn days. But still, the Dodgers lead Major League Baseball with 18 Rookies of the Year in their history. And then the Yankees, what does my list say here? Hang on one second. The Yankees are next, I think, with 10. Yankees and Braves are with 10. A's at 9. Orioles at 8, but it's Orioles/Browns. How far back it goes. Yeah, the Reds have 8. And the Rangers, as you know, Jeff, the Rangers have 2. And we were there for one of them, and Neftali Feliz. And Mike Hargrove won the award too. So
that great 74 season. So
it
does seem like the Dodgers have had a lot, and the A's. Like Andrew Bailey was a Rookie of the Year for the A's, and you can look at the Dodgers and their Rookies of the Year, like Eric Karros, who was a nice player, but they just seem to have a lot of. I think Cody Bellinger was Rookie of the Year. Corey Seager might have been Rookie of the Year.
He was 2016, I think. He was. Yep. So, and it's funny. Not all Rookies of the Year go on to absolute greatness. Ben Grieve,
like Bobby Crosby, Ben Grieve, sure.
Ben Grieve, and Ben was from here and won it in '88, I think. '98, I mean.
'98, yeah. So there's McJowers. Did Jack win a rookie cup for Topps? Then I don't know. I don't think.
Not sure either.
If Topps announces that stuff, I am not on their email list to receive it.
No. So today's Manager of the Year?
Yes.
So Manager of the Year, and we've talked about the finalists, and Dan Wilson's obviously a pretty good bet to win it. But John Schneider, as you mentioned, I mean, this is a guy whose team was picked last in the American League East, and they took the World Series to Game 7.
Yeah, and I mean, just winning the division, it's a regular season award, but winning the division, considering your butt was on the line and you're expected to finish last, hey, that's pretty good. And then Stephen Vogt's the other one. Yeah. And if voters are at all influenced by momentum and strong finishes, well, the Guardians tracked down the Tigers.
They did.
Raced the 11-game deficit beginning of September 1st. So that had a lot of times, because wasn't AJ Hinch the Manager of the Year last year?
He was,
with a similar situation.
Surge.
To make the playoffs, not to win the division. But so we'll see. I would like to see Snyder win it, but it could be Vogt. And then in the National League, I think everybody expects that it'll be Pat Murphy.
Right. Yeah, he did such a great job, and he had pocket pancakes. I mean, he's
right.
got to get a few votes just for the pocket pancakes.
Well, if he wins, he better have a pocket pancake for his.
Yeah, I hope he does.
Pull it out and start chewing on it, and
yeah. I need to get up there. I need to get up there and try that pocket pancake. By the way, it looks like a good concession item.
It would be his second consecutive, and I think only one manager, at least in the National League, Bobby Cox. He was the first one to do it. So,
okay, yeah,
could be
that's interesting
tonight. Yeah,
yeah, and then then we have MVP and Cy Young yet.
Cy Young then MVP. Cy Young Wednesday.
And I think, honestly, that's like the least dramatic. It's Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens, right? I mean, I don't think there's any drama there. I guess there could be, but
there might be some crochet votes thrown in there.
Yeah,
he had a pretty nice year for the Red Sox, but yeah, NL I think is going to be. It should be unanimous. So we'll see about that.
Yeah,
and then MVP. That's it. That's the interesting one.
Yeah, it is.
Really, I mean, the National League is spoken for, of course.
Yeah,
it should be pretty interesting. The Judge Raleigh vote, and the players picked Raleigh. So will the media lean on the stats, because outside of home runs, Aaron Judge was the better baseball player.
Right.
Statistically speaking, but
he didn't play catcher either. Yeah.
But did he mean as much to his team as that the term valuable comes into play? And
but it doesn't always. Right? I mean, it should, but it doesn't always. So that's a really interesting one. To me, the American League MVP might be the most interesting battle at this point, because I really believe, like, if I had a vote, I'd be voting for Raleigh. I just think what he accomplished over this season was so amazing in the position that he played. And again, it's not like he was on a bad team. They took the Blue Jays to a 7th game in the World Series. So anyway, that's all coming up. We did want to touch briefly on this whole bit about Nico. And really, Jeff, what crossed my mind is, since I've been around, we did have that short time with John Hart, who was never a bad guy. He wasn't but he wasn't a very good general manager when he was here. He did well in Cleveland,
correct,
but he was not a good general manager when he was here. I just think he was literally, on the golf course too much, just out there, like kind of, resting on his laurels, as you might say. But I've covered Tom Grieve, who, when he was general manager of the Rangers, Jeff, I did a feature story for Channel 5 on him, because he was also coaching maybe his 12-year-old son, Ben Grieve's Little League team, on like a dirt field in Arlington. I mean, I couldn't believe this is the general manager of the Texas Rangers, and he was so cool and so down to earth. And we mic'd him up as he coached the game, and it was just great, right? And then you had Doug Melvin in there, the Canadian. Doug was just a great guy.
Super guy. Yeah.
Super guy. And then, of course, you had John Hart. And then you had JD, who we just love. And really, Chris Young, he's not even the GM anymore. Ross Fenstermaker is now, but Young took over for a while. And he did amazing job. He was charged with, finishing the job that JD started, to get all this talent in place to be good enough to win a World Series. And really at the time, CY's greatest accomplishment might have been getting Bruce Bochy out of retirement.
Could have been, then quickly thereafter signing DeGrom, and then right after Christmas, or maybe it was right after Christmas, getting Eovaldi done. I do think that Chris Young has had to grow into the job. Mm-hmm. He was a player, had never run an organization before. So I think maybe now that he's entrenched a little more, this is his 4th full season. Maybe he has a feel for things. Maybe that's why you're going to see some philosophical changes, and not just in the big leagues, but throughout the whole organization. The thing, and I know we're about to hit our ad break, but the thing that stands out to me about this Nico guy is it seems like he's a real jerk.
Yes.
And to the point where, okay, the fans don't like you because you traded away your favorite player. Okay, great. Stand up and own it, And then also, it sounds like a lot of the employees just didn't like it.
Right.
You gotta remember everybody. You can't think your stuff doesn't stink.
Nope.
And I think that's where John Daniels really kind of separated himself. He gave time to a lot of people, a lot of consideration to people, and let them do their jobs. Didn't try to meddle, didn't try to over GM, if you will. So maybe that's something that takes time to grow into. I don't know. Not saying that Chris Young's a bad guy, but anyway, that's my takeaway.
And to
Nico
your point,
Harrison was a jerk.
Yes, and to your point about that, and I know we're over the break, but I'm going to get there, Kat. But to the point about that is, I don't think that Nico will ever in his life admit that he made a mistake in trading Luka. Right. Whereas we had John Daniels in studio just before Do It for Durrett, and he's looking through the rundown, and I go, oh yeah, and Jake Skoll was the MVP or whatever of the Savannah Bananas, and he goes,
yeah.
That's one of my biggest mistakes. I think I think the first thing he said was, I knew he'd be successful somewhere, and he owned it. It was a bad pick. It was a first round bad pick. Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about this one a little more as I got another thought, but let's sell some shirts.
All right, let's do that. Yeah, it's DLLS Rangers podcast.
Hey, go become a diehard, would you? There's the QR code. Go to alldls.com. We got 1,000 little places you can click to become a diehard. $79.99 for the year. You get a free T-shirt. You get early access to sign up for our events like that Stars takeover we're doing here coming up in, I believe, early December. That thing sold out. Didn't even go public because the diehards had the early access. And so you get stuff like everything we're going to be writing about Nico Harrison, the ongoing saga that is the Dallas Cowboys, the Stars who are trying to figure it out, and then the Rangers. And what we've just been talking about, what the heck are they going to do? I wrote the story. I published it last night, real late, and tweeted it out this afternoon, right around lunchtime. But we have stuff that you guys don't want to miss. And if you're not a diehard member and it's behind the paywall, you're SOL. So go ahead and become a diehard member today.
Yeah, and what the heck, when you do, you'll get a free T-shirt. And you can see all the T-shirts that are available for that at store.allcitynetwork.com. There, like Jeff said yesterday, there's so many of them. There might be 50 or 60 T-shirts that are available, including this one, which I love.
I've got the horseshoe.
City. Yeah, I like that one too. It's one of the first ones I got.
And I got the hat.
Oh, and that's, I don't want to forget about the hats.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah.
We just have one, but we're gonna have more. And anyway, holidays are coming, and you could buy stuff for people that you like, people that DLLS. I tell you what, man, we're getting bigger and bigger with things like this Nico thing. Like, there's no place to go at 10 o'clock in the morning to digest what happened, except DLLS. Right? Some of the news stations may have even picked up the press conference. I don't know. They may have, or the radio stations may have picked up the press conference. Nobody talked about it for 2 hours this morning, like our guys did on DLLS. And that is that's the big advantage that we have. So you need to have your DLLS shirt on to remind everybody this is where you go when stuff happens. All right. DLLS store.allcitynetwork.com. Now, your thought about the JD thing. I just love the Jake Skoll thing. He's just like, oh yeah, I knew he'd be successful.
Can we hear me now?
Unmuted. Now I'm unmuted. There we go. So Rob Manfred has worked with a group that all the bettors, I think, that there's going to be a $200 limit on prop bets, and this to me is the classic case of shutting the barn door after the horse went running down the road, man. I mean, and I'm glad they at least did something. That, first of all, there shouldn't be prop bets on baseball, right? If you have players who are doing things like this, and so a $200 limit, whatever. I mean, I don't think that that's enough, but I appreciate, Jeff, that at least they're trying to do something. But man, this is, I think, too little, too late.
I hope you can hear me because I can hear you.
Yeah,
All right.
I got you.
No, I agree, and it is interesting that they did that reactionary instead of it being a proactive thing.
Right.
And they should have thought of at the onset. At the onset, you know, but don't, you know, obviously you can't trust all the players to do the right thing, and so that's kind of where I am with this, and so, you know, and maybe the betting limit will, I don't know, does it make it harder to find the players who are throwing games and tipping pitches, or does it make it easier? I don't know, but it's definitely something that um, I agree needed to be done, and hopefully it gives players less incentive to uh, be as dumb as Emmanuel Clase.
Yeah, I think it was our buddy Randy Galloway who used to say, "You can't coach stupid," and sometimes you can't regulate that either, right? And I just think that when you're a $4.5 million player and you're worrying about these relatively minuscule payoffs, $4,000 and $10,000. I get it; they were going back home, but if you're sending money back home, just send it out of your $4.5 million.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just like, but to your point, you can't. Players are just going to. So you can't regulate all of them, and they obviously could not regulate Emmanuel Clase in this case, and now he may be really regulated.
Yeah. No, here's a way to regulate it. You're done.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so what I was saying before the gremlins got me all about
Yeah.
sports zone, I was trying to think of scenarios where the unrest in the Mavericks front office might have compared to the Rangers front office, and I don't know that was ever to this level where it permeated throughout the organization, but there was the rumors about Nolan Ryan and John Daniels not getting along.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe that's the drama of Rangers front office history. But and there was times with like Brad Corbett way back in the 70s, and
Sure.
they've run into financial problems with Eddie Childs and Tom Hicks, and apparently Ray Davis, who's worth so much money, wanting to tighten the budgets. But the point is, that's all I could think of,
Yeah.
and it was never like, you know, maybe it did come down to a scenario where uh, Nolan said, "All right, it's me or JD," and then they're like, "Well, all right, we're going to go with John Daniels," or however it happened. It's a shame that it happened, because JD did some good work, and Nolan signed off on it and never really seemed to have a problem with any of it. He was a little hesitant on the length of the Beltray contract. I believe I remember Scott Boras telling me that he had to talk Nolan into it, and thank God he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when it comes to like controversy of our time with the Rangers, that's probably the only one.
Yeah, it's a good point, and it was divisive and still is. I mean, again, JD's not the general manager now, but I have friends, and I'd tell them, it's JD. The JD Nolan thing wasn't the only reason. In fact, there was a bigger reason Nolan left, and that was basically, ownership. I mean, Ray Davis at some point. This is what I was told from a very reliable source at the time, that Ray Davis said, as Nolan would talk about, well, that'll be down the road when Reed is running the team, or that'll be down the road when Jackson, Reed's son, is. To me, Nolan said that on the dais one time. That'll be when Jackson Ryan's running the team. That whatever that long-term thing is, and Ray Davis said to him, if one of the owners, because Nolan was a part owner,
Yeah.
But Ray said, if one of the owners if this is going to be a family business for one of the owners, it's going to be one of the owners that are in for $250 million, which was at that time Ray Davis and Bob Simpson, and Ray knew which one that was going to be. It's not going to be one of the guys who's a minority owner, and Nolan was like, okay, I think I'll leave. I mean, so, and that doesn't mean he was always in agreement with John Daniels, but I'd tell friends of mine who I know, and I hate John Daniels. I'm like, man, he's not the enemy, and I'd tell them that story, and they're like, yeah, I don't care. Don't like him. So, anyway, but it's still divisive. People like the Nolan camp is still this. And by the way, have you seen this ridiculous report on social media that Nolan's coming back as president? Oh my gosh. People believe. Guys, have you seen a picture of Nolan lately? This is Nolan's an old man. He's almost 80 years old. He's not coming back as president of the Rangers. So,
no, I did, however, think that Reed would have been a good president, like
agreed.
On the business side.
Agreed.
He would have been fantastic.
Agreed.
He's a great guy. Always a guy who had thought about the fans first. He's done a tremendous job with the minor league teams and the private businesses that the Ryans have. Reed's tremendous. I don't just say this because he went to TCU. Reed's just a good person.
And remember, he was the president of the Astros.
Right,
and left in large part. Both he and Nolan left in large part with that controversy over Allison Footer and them, getting in her face about, see there, you can't say anything about our Josh Hader. I don't remember all the details now, but it was
damn Alejandro Osuna's older brother, Roberto Osuna.
Was it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because the Blue Jays had traded him to the Astros while he was embroiled in a domestic violence situation.
That's what it was.
And so Allison would, tweet out, "There's a save for Roberto Osuna, who's under investigation in Canada for alleged domestic abuse." And she didn't let them forget it. And this was after what's his face, the guy who got canned for the cheating, Jeff Lunau, to the effect of, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do these things, and we're aware of the situation, and we're gonna be proactive and doing this and that," and they never followed through. So I like Allison; she's tough.
I do too. She handled that well, and they crossed the wrong one there. So anyway, we got to go. That was quick. Jeff, I'm going to say this, and I'll tell you this when we talk offline here in a minute. That was StreamYard's fault. That wasn't our fault.
It's not my fault.
That was StreamYard's fault. Anyway, sorry about the audio problems. They won't exist again unless StreamYard makes them exist again. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.